All right, so let's look at the special segments in triangles. We have median, and a median is a segment that goes from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So A is a median. Now, because it's a median, we know it goes from vertex to midpoint. That's a median. It goes from vertex to midpoint. So if it's a midpoint, what does that mean about these two? That means they're congruent. So that means that 4x plus 2 has to equal 6x minus 28. So I'm going to solve it. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So 2x plus 2 equals, whoops, not 2x plus 2, that would be 0, equals 2x minus 28. Ignore me, I'm 2 hours asleep. So then I'm going to add the 28 to both sides. So 30 equals 2x. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to 15. Again, all I did was set them equal and solve it. Now the next one, that's a median. So the next one that we're going to look at is, this one is a perpendicular bisector. What does perpendicular mean? Intersects at 90 degrees, bisect, cut in half. So this is a midpoint. So perpendicular bisector is basically a midpoint at 90 degrees. Now, how do I find Z? Well, if it's a perpendicular bisector, as you can see, it's a right angle. We have a right triangle. What can we use? Pythagorean Theorem. Yay, you got it. Now, since I have the hypotenuse in one of the legs, I'm going to subtract. So 17 squared minus 8 squared equals Z squared. And if you remember the Pythagorean triple, you know it right off. It's 15. But let's say you don't. So you've got 289 minus 64 equals Z squared. So you got 225 equals Z squared. And then you square root both sides. So 15 equals Z. I know I'm kind of going fast.
Mommy, look.
I see it. Shh. My little boy is here helping me out. So the next one, this is a mid-segment. That's a mid-segment. A mid-segment connects two midpoints. So these are both midpoints. Now, because it's a mid-segment, we also know that it's parallel to the opposite side. We talked about that before. So a mid-segment connects two midpoints. Well, that means if this is 3 right here, that means x is 3 also. I'll put it up here. That means this is going to be 3 also, because it's a midpoint. If this angle is 70, M is also going to be 70, because those are corresponding angles. Remember we talked about corresponding? So if that's 54, P is also 54. They're corresponding and they're congruent because the lines are parallel. You've got a linear pair here. So if that's 70, that's got to be 110. And if that's 54, that has to be 126.
Look.
I know, honey. Shh, I know. Put that away. That's gross. Sorry, chewed gum. So you notice that you have a linear pair there, but also remember, when you have a trapezoid and you've got two parallel sides, these are same side interiors, so they have to add to 180. They're supplementary. Okay. And for Y, the mid-segment is half as big as the opposite side. So those are all your mid-segment properties. All right, so let's look at one more. This last one here, this is an angle bisector. And an angle bisector, remember, cuts an angle in half. So if that's 58, that means Y is 58. That's it. Okay. Now we've talked about an altitude. Remember, an altitude's just a height. So that's the reason I didn't put an altitude on here, is we've done it before.